David walked slowly through the quiet streets of the city. His shoes were worn and his coat had patches from many repairs. He had no home and no family nearby. Every day he faced the cold wind and the hunger in his stomach. Despite everything, he held his head high because he knew he had a special skill. David could fix almost anything. Broken doors, old bicycles, or even cars. He could make them work again. This skill gave him a small hope that life might get better one day. That morning, the sky was gray and the air smelled like rain. David moved past the rows of old shops and empty houses. He was used to being ignored by people walking by. Most people only saw a homeless man and they looked away quickly. But David did not care. He had learned to find beauty in small things. A shiny nail, a rusty gear, or a broken wheel could all be interesting if you looked carefully. As he turned a corner, something caught his eye. A blue Mustang sat in a narrow alley. It looked expensive, but it was clear the car had been left alone for a long time. The hood was open and the engine had smoke rising slowly into the air. David's eyes lit up. He loved a challenge, and this car seemed like the kind of problem he could solve. He knelt down and looked closely at the engine. Several wires were loose and the battery looked weak. There were signs of wear and damage, but David knew he could fix it with the right tools. He began to imagine how the car would look after repairs. He could see the shiny body gleaming under the sun and the engine running smoothly. The thought made him smile. He had spent many nights dreaming about doing something big with his skills, but life had not given him many chances. This car might be his chance. While he was examining the engine, a soft voice interrupted him. "Excuse me," said a woman standing a few steps behind him. She was dressed in a light coat, and her hair was neatly tied back. "Can you help me with my car?" "I don't know much about engines, and I am not sure what to do." David looked up at her. She had kind eyes, and her voice was gentle. He nodded without saying much. Words were not always needed. Actions could speak louder than words, and fixing a car was something he could do. "I can try to fix it," he said simply. "It may take some time, but I will do my best." The woman smiled and stepped closer. "Thank you. I would really appreciate it. This car means a lot to me, and I have been worried it would never work again." David started by checking the battery and replacing a few wires. He moved carefully, making sure not to damage anything. The woman watched quietly, standing a little away, but her eyes followed every movement. David noticed that she seemed nervous but also patient. He liked that. Patience was a rare quality these days, and it made people easier to trust. As he worked, David thought about his life. He remembered his father, who had taught him how to repair old machines. He remembered the pride he felt the first time he fixed a broken radio all by himself. Those memories gave him strength. Even though life had been hard, he had a skill that could create something beautiful out of broken things. The woman spoke again. "You are very talented," she said. "Not many people could fix a car like this without help." David smiled quietly. Compliments were not new to him, but it felt good to hear someone appreciate his work. He continued working with care, connecting wires, checking fluids, and adjusting the engine. Slowly, the smoke stopped rising and the engine began to look alive again. David wiped his hands on a cloth and stood back to admire the work. The woman stepped closer, her eyes wide with hope. "Do you think it will start?" she asked softly. David nodded. "I think it will," he said confidently. He reached for the key, inserted it in the ignition, and turned it. The engine roared to life, smooth and strong. The woman's face lit up with surprise and joy. She clapped her hands quietly and whispered, "Thank you so much." David felt a sense of pride he had not felt in a long time. He smiled and said, "I'm glad it works. Take care of it." The woman smiled warmly and offered her hand. "My name is Anna," she said. "You really helped me today." David shook her hand and replied, "I am David. It was my pleasure." For the first time in a long time, David felt something he had almost forgotten. Hope. After the Mustang engine roared to life, Anna could not hide her excitement. She ran her hand along the shiny blue hood and smiled at David. "I cannot believe it works again. I was so worried it would be ruined forever," she said. David shrugged and smiled quietly. It needed some care and attention. Sometimes things just need someone to try. Anna's eyes studied him carefully. "You really know cars well," she said. "Have you worked on many vehicles like this before?" David thought for a moment. "I have worked on what I could find. Old bicycles, broken motorcycles, sometimes abandoned cars. I like fixing things. It makes me feel useful. Anna nodded, her curiosity growing. You seem very talented. Not many people can repair something so complex without a workshop. David looked down at his hands. They were covered in grease and his coat was stained, but he felt proud. I learned a long time ago, he said. Fixing things has always helped me feel like I can do something meaningful. Anna smiled warmly. That is rare. Most people give up too easily. She hesitated and then asked, Would you like a cup of coffee? There is a small cafe nearby. It is not fancy, but it is warm and you can sit for a while. David was surprised by the offer. He had not been invited anywhere in a long time. He nodded slowly. I would like that, he said. They walked together to the cafe. The streets were quiet in the morning sun, and the city seemed different when he walked beside someone who treated him kindly. David had spent years surviving on his own, and little gestures like this reminded him of how good people could be. Inside the cafe, Anna ordered 2 cups of coffee. She picked a small table by the window, and David sat opposite her. He looked around at the warm lights and the smell of fresh bread. It was a simple place, but it felt safe and comforting. Anna watched him closely. David, she said, you seem like a person who has seen a lot. Can I ask you something personal? David nodded, unsure what she wanted to know. You may ask, she smiled gently. Why are you living on the streets? You are talented and you clearly work hard. I do not understand how someone like you ends up in this situation. David sighed. He was not used to talking about his life, but something about Anna made it easier. Life has not been easy, he said. I lost my family when I was young. I had to survive, and sometimes it was just about finding food or a place to sleep. I never gave up fixing things because it keeps me moving forward. It keeps me believing that I can do better someday. Anna listened carefully. Her heart went out to him. She had always known life could be unfair, but hearing David's story made it real. She did not feel pity, only respect. He had kept his spirit alive despite the difficulties. David, she said softly, you are strong and kind. Those are qualities that cannot be taken away no matter what happens. David looked at her, surprised by her words. People rarely said things like that to him. Most people avoided him or looked down on him. He felt something warm inside, a feeling he had almost forgotten. It was trust. Anna took a sip of her coffee. I have a question, she said. I want to do something kind for you. Can you tell me what you need most right now? David paused. He had grown used to surviving with very little, and he did not know what to ask for. I do not know, he said honestly. Food and a warm place are always helpful, but I do not want to trouble anyone. Anna smiled. You're not troubling anyone. I want to help. Sometimes people need help to see a better path. You deserve that. David felt a strange mix of emotions. Gratitude, surprise, and something new, hope. He never expected someone like Anna to care so much. He realized that this day had changed something in his life. Helping the Mustang had led him to someone who believed in him, and that belief was powerful. The cafe filled with soft music and sunlight streamed through the windows. David and Anna continued talking, sharing stories and small laughs. For David, it felt like the first step toward a life he had dreamed of but never believed he could reach. By the time they left the cafe, the sky had cleared, and the city felt alive. David knew that something special had begun, and he was ready to see where it might lead. After leaving the cafe, David and Anna walked slowly down the streets. The city was quiet and the sun had risen higher, making the buildings glow with warmth. David felt lighter than he had in years. For the first time, someone had not judged him for his clothes or his life. Anna had treated him with respect and kindness, and he realized how much he had missed that feeling. Anna glanced at David and smiled. You seem different today, she said. Is everything okay? David chuckled softly. Yes, I feel different. Meeting you, talking to you, it is not easy to explain, but it feels good. They reached a small park where children were playing and birds sang from the trees. Anna stopped and leaned against a bench. I want to show you something, she said. It is close by, and I think you will like it. David looked at her with curiosity. What is it? He asked. Anna's eyes twinkled. You will see. Just follow me. They walked together until they reached a small garage behind a row of shops. The door was old, but Anna pushed it open easily. Inside, the space was clean and bright. There were tools on the walls, shelves full of car parts, and a small workbench in the corner. David's eyes widened. "This is amazing," he said. "It looks like a proper workshop." Anna smiled. "I thought you might like it. You can use this space anytime you want. I know fixing cars is important to you and I want to help." David felt a mix of surprise and gratitude. He had never had a place of his own, not even a small corner to work in peace. This garage was more than he could imagine. "Thank you," he said quietly. "I do not know how to repay you." Anna shook her head. "You do not need to repay me. I just want to help. People who work hard and care about others deserve support." David looked around the garage. The tools, the clean floors, and the bright light made him feel like he had entered a new world. He walked to the Mustang he had repaired and patted the hood gently. "I can work on this car properly now," he said. "No rush, no fear of getting caught. I can do what I love." Anna watched him and smiled. She felt happy to see someone find joy in simple things. "I am glad," she said softly. "You deserve this." Over the next few days, David spent time at the garage. He cleaned the Mustang, polished the body, and repaired other small cars that Anna had brought. She watched him work and sometimes joined him to hand him tools or small parts. They laughed together when David made small mistakes and celebrated quietly when repairs went perfectly. During this time, Anna and David talked about their lives. David shared stories about learning to fix things as a boy, about the struggles he faced when he lost his family, and about how he survived on the streets. Anna listened carefully, never interrupting, always showing respect. In return, Anna shared a few stories about her life, carefully keeping some details private. She spoke about her love for animals, her favorite books, and the joy she felt helping others. David noticed that she carried herself with confidence, but she was humble and kind. Her presence was comforting, and he found himself smiling more than he had in years. One afternoon, as David worked on the Mustang's engine, he looked up and saw Anna standing at the doorway. "David," she said, "I want to ask you something." David wiped his hands and looked at her. "Yes," he replied. Anna hesitated, then spoke. "I have seen how hard you work and how much you care. I want to give you a chance to have a better life. Would you like to stay in a place where you are safe and have food, a bed, and the freedom to do what you love?" David was quiet for a moment. The offer was incredible. No one had ever offered him such a chance without expecting something in return. His heart felt full and hope grew inside him. I would like that very much," he said finally. Anna smiled, and for the first time, David felt like his life might change. He realized that helping the Mustang had brought him more than just the satisfaction of a job well done. It had brought him someone who cared and someone who could open a new path in his life. The Mustang's engine purred softly, echoing the promise of a brighter future. David looked at Anna, and in that moment he knew that things were beginning to change. Life was not easy, but for the first time, he felt ready to embrace it. David's life had begun to feel different. The small garage Anna had given him became his world. Every morning he arrived early, eager to work on cars and learn more about engines. The Mustang stood proudly in the center of the garage, and he polished it carefully, admiring its smooth lines and shining paint. Anna visited often. Sometimes she brought tools, sometimes small parts, and sometimes just her company. She enjoyed watching David work and listening to his thoughts. He was patient and focused, and she admired the way he treated every car with care. She had met many people in her life, but David was special. He was kind, honest, and hard-working. One morning, Anna arrived at the garage holding an envelope. David noticed her expression was serious but calm. "David," she said, "I think it is time you know a little more about me." David paused, wiping his hands on a cloth. "About you?" he asked, curious. Anna nodded and handed him the envelope. "I want you to open this. It explains some things about my life. You deserve to know because you have been honest and true from the start." David hesitated for a moment. He rarely received letters or personal messages, but he trusted Anna. Slowly, he opened the envelope and pulled out the papers inside. As he read, his eyes widened. Anna was not just anyone. She was a successful businesswoman, someone who had built her own company and had millions of dollars. She had chosen to live quietly and keep her wealth private because she wanted to know who truly cared about people, not money or power. David looked up, surprised. I did not know," he said softly. "I would never have guessed." Anna smiled. "I know it may be a lot to take in. Most people judge others for what they have or do not have. I wanted to meet someone who cared for who they are, not what they own. That is why I came to you, to see the real person behind the clothes and the hardships. David felt a mixture of emotions. He was amazed, proud, and a little nervous. He realized that Anna had trusted him without knowing much about his past, and now she had shared a big part of her life. Anna, he said, I am honored that you trust me. I never cared about money. I just want to do my work and live honestly. That is enough for me. Anna's eyes softened. I believe that, David. You are genuine, and that is rare. I do not need you to change anything about yourself. I just want you to be happy and safe. David nodded. Thank you, he said. I feel like my life has changed already, even though I am still learning to adjust. I never thought someone like you would trust me, let alone offer me a place to live and work. Anna walked closer to him and put a hand on his shoulder. I want you to see the world differently, David. There is more to life than surviving day by day. There are people who care, opportunities to grow, and happiness waiting if you take a chance. David felt a warmth in his chest. For the first time in years, he felt that life could be full of possibilities. He looked around the garage at the cars he had repaired and at Anna, who had opened her heart to him. He realized that the Mustang had been the start of something much bigger than he could have imagined. Over the next few days, Anna shared small parts of her life carefully. She showed him her home, not the luxurious side, but the quiet rooms filled with books and art. She introduced him to her favorite places in the city, small parks, and local shops where people smiled and knew her as a kind neighbor rather than a wealthy owner. David was amazed at how different her life seemed from what he had imagined. She did not flaunt her wealth. She lived simply, thoughtfully, and with care for others. Seeing this, he felt even more respect and admiration for her. One afternoon, as they returned to the garage after visiting a small market, Anna said, David, I have a proposal. I want to give you a small project, something special. You can choose a car, repair it completely, and learn new skills along the way. I will support you fully, but the work must be yours. David's eyes lit up. I would love that, he said. It will be amazing to have a challenge like this. I promise I will do my best, Anna smiled. I know you will. This is just the beginning, David. Life has many surprises, and I hope you're ready to see them. David looked at her and nodded. He felt ready. With Anna's trust and the garage as his world, he believed he could achieve more than he had ever dreamed. The future felt bright, and for the first time, he knew that life could be full of hope, friendship, and possibilities. David could hardly sleep that night. His mind raced with excitement and ideas. Anna had given him an incredible opportunity, and he wanted to make the most of it. He had spent years surviving, repairing broken things and dreaming quietly, but now he had a chance to do something meaningful for himself and prove his skill in a way he never had before. The next morning, David arrived at the garage early. Sunlight streamed through the windows, casting warm patterns on the floor. He walked past the Mustang and looked at the other cars in the garage. Anna had promised him a project of his choice. David had already decided. He wanted to repair an old abandoned sedan that had been sitting in the corner of the garage for years. Its paint was faded and the tires were flat, but David could see the potential. Anna arrived shortly after, carrying a small toolbox. She smiled when she saw him examining the sedan. Have you made your choice? She asked. David nodded. Yes, I want to work on this one. It will take time, but I can bring it back to life. Anna's eyes shone with encouragement. I know you can. I trust your judgment, David. Take your time and do it well. David got to work immediately. He started by cleaning the car, removing layers of dust and grime. The engine was old and had many broken parts, but he was confident. He carefully examined each component, noting what needed repair or replacement. He worked methodically, taking notes and planning every step. Hours passed, and David barely noticed the time. His hands moved skillfully, connecting wires, tightening bolts, and checking fluids. Every small success made him smile. The car slowly began to show signs of life. The tires were repaired, the brakes adjusted, and the engine cleaned and fixed. David felt proud of the progress. Anna visited several times during the day. She would bring him water, hand him tools, or just sit nearby and watch him work. She admired his focus and patience. David, she said at one point, I have never seen anyone work with such care. You treat this car like it is alive. David laughed softly. It is alive to me. Every car has a story. They are broken for a reason, but with care they can start again. I feel the same about people. We all have challenges, but we can improve if someone believes in us. Anna was quiet for a moment, reflecting on his words. She realized how wise and thoughtful he was. He had lived a hard life, but it had given him strength, patience, and understanding. She felt lucky to have met someone like him, someone genuine and honest. By the third day, the car was almost ready. David had spent hours perfecting the engine, polishing the exterior and making sure everything worked smoothly. He tested each function carefully. The headlights glowed brightly, the tires rolled smoothly, and the engine purred when he turned the key. Anna stood by, her eyes wide with admiration. "It looks incredible," she said softly. "I can see all your hard work in every detail. You have brought it back to life." David smiled, wiping sweat from his forehead. "It feels amazing. I never thought I could do something like this with such support." "I owe it to you, Anna, for trusting me." Anna shook her head. "You do not owe me anything. You did this because you care and because you have talent. That is what matters." David looked at the car and then at Anna. He realized that this project had taught him more than just repairing a vehicle. It had taught him about trust, friendship, and the importance of believing in someone. He had worked hard, stayed patient, and had someone who encouraged him along the way. For the first time, he felt a deep sense of achievement and happiness. Anna placed her hand gently on his shoulder. "David, this is just the beginning. There are many more projects, many more opportunities for you. You have talent and now you have a place to use it. Life can be better than you ever imagined." David nodded, feeling a warmth in his heart. He looked at the sedan, now shining and perfect, and then at Anna. "I am ready for what comes next," he said confidently. The garage was filled with the quiet hum of the engine and the soft light of the afternoon sun. David felt that his life had changed forever. He had found not only a place to use his skills, but also someone who believed in him. For the first time, he truly felt that hope, friendship, and a better future were possible. The days passed quickly, and David's confidence grew with each project he completed. The garage had become more than a workplace. It was a place of learning, hope, and friendship. Anna's presence made everything brighter. She was not just a helper, but also a companion who encouraged him to do his best. One morning, Anna arrived with a bright smile. "David, I have something special for you today," she said. She held a small folder in her hands. "I want you to choose a new project, but this time it will be different. I want you to repair a classic car, something unique that will challenge your skills even more." David's eyes widened. "A classic car? That sounds amazing. I would love to work on it." Anna led him to a corner of the garage where an old green convertible sat covered with a dusty cloth. The paint was faded and the tires were flat, but David could already see the car's beauty. He pulled the cover off slowly, revealing the sleek curves and elegant design. "It is beautiful," he whispered. Anna nodded. "It has been here for years. I wanted to see if someone could restore it to its former glory. I thought of you immediately because I know how much you care about every detail." David felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He knew this project would be harder than the previous ones, but he also knew he had the skills to succeed. He rolled up his sleeves and began examining the car carefully. Every wire, every bolt, and every engine part needed attention. He wrote notes, planned his steps, and started the work systematically. As he worked, Anna sat nearby, sometimes handing him tools or suggesting small ideas. She watched in admiration as David carefully repaired the engine, polished the body, and replaced old parts with new ones. His patience and precision impressed her. She realized that his talent was not just about fixing cars. It was about dedication, care, and love for what he did. One afternoon, while David worked under the hood, Anna asked softly, "David, do you ever dream about your future? What you want to do when life becomes easier?" David paused and wiped his hands on a cloth. He looked at her, thinking carefully. "I used to dream about having my own garage, a place where I could work freely, help people with their cars, and teach others who wanted to learn. I never thought it would actually happen, but now it feels possible." Anna smiled warmly. "I want to help you achieve that dream. You have the talent and the heart, and I believe you can do anything you set your mind to." David felt a deep sense of gratitude. Her belief in him was more powerful than anything he had experienced. For years he had struggled alone, and now someone was giving him the chance to grow, to succeed, and to dream bigger than before. Days turned into weeks, and the convertible slowly came back to life. David repaired the engine so it ran smoothly, replaced worn-out tires, polished the body until it shone, and restored every small detail with care. Anna was amazed at the transformation. The car no longer looked abandoned. It looked ready to drive through the streets with pride. One evening, David finally finished the last adjustment. He stepped back and admired his work. The green convertible gleamed under the garage lights. He felt a mix of pride, satisfaction, and joy. This car was more than a project. It was a symbol of his hard work, patience, and dedication. Anna entered the garage and gasped softly. "David, it is perfect. You have truly brought it back to life. I am so proud of you." David smiled and felt warmth in his chest. "Thank you, Anna. I could not have done it without your support and encouragement." Anna placed a hand on his shoulder. "You did this yourself. I just believed in you. Remember, David, talent is important, but belief and perseverance are even more powerful. You have both, and that is why you succeed." David looked at the convertible and then at Anna. He realized how much his life had changed since meeting her. He had found not only a place to use his skills, but also someone who saw his worth and gave him hope. He knew that the future held many challenges, but with Anna's trust and friendship, he felt ready to face them all. The garage was quiet that evening, filled only with the soft hum of the new engine. David looked around at his work, at the cars he had restored, and at Anna standing beside him. For the first time, he felt that life was not about surviving anymore. It was about growing, dreaming, and building something meaningful. David smiled. He knew that with hard work, patience, and someone who believed in him, anything was possible. The journey had just begun, and the best was yet to come. The green convertible had become the pride of the garage. David could hardly believe how far he had come. From repairing a broken Mustang to restoring a classic car, he had proven to himself that his skills mattered. Anna's trust and support had made the impossible possible, and now he felt more confident about the future than ever before. One morning, as David worked on a small motorcycle that needed repairs, Anna entered the garage with a thoughtful expression. "David," she said, "I have been thinking. You have done amazing work, and people should see your talent. I want to introduce you to someone who can help you grow even more." David paused, curious and a little nervous. "Who is it?" he asked. Anna smiled. "A friend of mine owns a small but busy workshop in the city. He is always looking for skilled people. I thought it might be a good opportunity for you to learn more and possibly build your own future." David's heart raced. He had never expected such a chance. The idea of working in a proper workshop, learning new techniques, and meeting other skilled people was exciting and a little overwhelming. I would like that very much," he said finally. Anna nodded. "I will arrange it. You do not need to worry about anything. Just focus on your work and your growth. I know you have what it takes." A few days later, David visited the workshop Anna had mentioned. It was a busy place, full of cars, tools, and people moving quickly. At first, he felt nervous. He had never worked in such a professional environment before, and he worried he might not fit in. But as he started helping with small repairs, he realized his skills were valued. The other mechanics noticed his careful work and patience. They asked questions, shared advice, and even complimented his talent. David felt a sense of pride and belonging he had never felt before. For the first time in his life, he was not just surviving. He was learning, growing, and being respected for what he could do. Meanwhile, Anna continued to support him. She visited the workshop occasionally, bringing snacks, sharing encouragement, and checking on his progress. David appreciated her presence, not just for practical help, but for the sense of friendship and trust she offered. He had grown close to her, feeling that she understood him in ways few people ever had. One afternoon, as David returned to the garage after a busy day, he noticed Anna waiting with a small notebook in her hands. "David," she said, "I thought we could start planning your own special project, something that shows your skill, creativity, and everything you have learned so far." David's eyes lit up. "You mean I can design my own car project?" Anna nodded. "Exactly. You will decide and I will support you. This is your chance to show your talent fully, and I know you can do something incredible." David felt a surge of excitement. He began thinking about designs, colors, and features he wanted to include. He imagined a car that was not just functional but beautiful, reflecting his hard work, patience, and passion. For the first time, He realized he could dream bigger than just surviving or fixing old vehicles. He could create something that truly belonged to him. Over the next few weeks, David worked tirelessly. He combined what he had learned at the workshop with his own ideas and careful attention to detail. Anna stayed close, helping him organize materials, offering advice, and cheering him on. The garage was filled with energy and purpose, a place where talent, trust, and friendship created something extraordinary. One evening, after a long day, David stood back and looked at the car he had been designing. The frame was complete, the engine repaired and tuned, and the body beginning to take shape. He smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment and pride unlike anything he had experienced before. Anna walked over, placing a hand on his shoulder. "David, you have come so far. I am proud of you, and I believe this project will show everyone what an incredible mechanic and person you are." David looked at her and nodded. He realized how much his life had changed in such a short time. From living on the streets to having a place, a purpose, and a friend who believed in him, he felt a happiness and hope he had never known. He knew that the road ahead would have challenges, but with his skill, determination, and Anna's trust, he was ready for anything. The garage was quiet that evening, but it felt alive with promise. David knew that his journey was only beginning, and he was ready to see where it would lead. For the first time, he believed that life could be full of opportunity, friendship, and dreams coming true. The day had finally arrived. David stood in the garage looking at the car he had been designing and building for weeks. It was not just a car. It was a creation that reflected his talent, patience, and dedication. The frame was polished, the engine perfectly tuned, and the body painted a deep, gleaming green. Every detail showed the care he had put into it. Anna arrived early that morning carrying a small tray with coffee and snacks. "David," she said with a bright smile, "today is your day. Everyone will see what you can do, and I am so proud of you." David felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He had worked hard, but now it was time for others to see the result of his efforts. He took a deep breath and nodded. "Thank you, Anna. I could not have done this without your support." Anna smiled warmly. "You did all the hard work. I just believed in you." They drove the car carefully to a small event in the city. Anna had arranged for a local exhibition where mechanics and car enthusiasts could display their work. David had never imagined that one day he would take part in such an event. People from all over the city were already arriving, examining cars and talking about engines, paintwork, and design. David parked the car in the display area and stepped back. The convertible shone under the sunlight. Its polished surfaces reflected the surroundings, and the engine hummed quietly, a sign of the careful work he had done. People began to notice it almost immediately. Several stopped, admiring the craftsmanship, while others took pictures and asked questions. One of the judges approached him. "This is impressive," the judge said. "The details, the engine work, and the overall design are excellent." "Who is the mechanic?" David smiled shyly. "I am. I repaired and designed it myself." The judge nodded, clearly impressed. "You have talent. Keep practicing and you will go far." David's heart swelled with pride. For the first time, someone recognized his skill in a way that went beyond casual praise. This recognition made him feel that all his struggles had been worthwhile. He had started with nothing, but now his work was admired, respected, and appreciated. Anna stood beside him, her eyes shining with pride. "David, I am so happy for you. You have shown everyone what you can do. You deserve this moment." David looked at her and felt a wave of gratitude. He had never imagined that someone like Anna would believe in him, support him, and celebrate his success. Her trust had changed his life completely. As the event continued, people continued to admire David's car. Some asked him questions about his techniques, and others wanted advice on repairs and restoration. David answered carefully, sharing his knowledge and experience. He realized that his skills could help others just as Anna had helped him. This gave him a new sense of purpose. By the end of the day, the judges announced their decision. David's car had won a special award for craftsmanship and design. He stepped forward to accept it, his hands shaking slightly with excitement. Anna clapped loudly, proud and joyful. On the way back to the garage, David and Anna were quiet for a moment. Then David said softly, "I cannot believe how much my life has changed. From living on the streets to this, it feels like a dream." Anna reached over and gently squeezed his hand. "It is real, David. You worked hard, stayed honest, and believed in yourself. This is just the beginning. There are many more opportunities waiting for you." David smiled, feeling a deep warmth inside. He looked at the road ahead, knowing that with talent, determination, and someone who believed in him, nothing was impossible. The Mustang, the sedan, and now this convertible were more than just cars. They were symbols of his journey from struggle to success. That evening, as they returned to the garage, David parked the convertible carefully and stepped back. The lights reflected off the shiny surface, and he felt a sense of peace and fulfillment. Anna stood beside him, smiling. "Thank you for believing in me," he said. Anna smiled softly. "No, David, you believed in yourself. I only helped you see what was already there. Your talent, your heart, and your hard work brought you here." David looked at the cars in the garage and then at Anna. He realized that life had given him a second chance, a chance to grow, to dream, and to live fully. He knew challenges would still come, but with hope, trust, and perseverance, he could face anything. The garage was quiet that night, filled with the soft hum of engines and the sense of achievement. David knew that he had not only restored cars, but also his own life. With Anna by his side and his skills guiding him, he was ready to embrace a future full of possibilities, friendship, and success. For David, the journey had begun with a broken Mustang, and now it had led him to a life of hope, respect, and dreams coming true.